Good evening, everybody, and you're very welcome to our open evening this evening. And I just want to welcome you from myself, and my colleagues Margarita and Jennifer, who are also here. Margarita will give you all her wisdom later on. She is my colleague and also mentor, and she will give you all her wisdom on the level 7, 8, and 9. I'll do some of this as well. And Jenny there is the sales lady and answer to all questions extraordinaire. So if there's questions that we can't answer about enrollment and things like that, Jenny is the lady to ask. So we're going to cover the course content. We're going to see what you're interested in. We're going to tell you, hopefully at the end of the evening, that this is the journey for you. I'm just going to have a look at the results of the poll here now. There's no results in yet. So basically we could have different types of people here. So if you want to go to the side there and fill in the little poll, okay, because you may be a school leaver, you may want to start at level 5, you may want to come in and do Montessori and ECCE level 6. You may have all that done and you may want to continue on to the BA Ord or to the honours degree, or you may have all of that done and want to do the masters. So if you want to fill in the little poll there at the side, please feel free to do so, and then we can tailor the evening to suit you. Also, there's a little chat bar in the side there. Please feel free to ask any questions that you have, and we will be more than happy to answer them for you. Okay. Basically, I'll just introduce myself first. I'm Jacinta Murphy, and I tutor here at Portobello Institute for nigh on 20 years. And I was in a completely different career, retail marketing, and I began really because it suited my children's lifestyle, and I didn't even really know if I would like it or not. But by the time I had done some courses and then eventually done my Montessori and eventually my degree and everything, I realized that I had found my life's passion, and I hope that that will happen for you too. So tonight's session, I've kind of gone through the names of the courses there, and you can see the framework there in front of you. So basically, if you do a level 5, where you'll be sitting on it, and then you can progress to the level 6, and the level 7 is the BA Ord, the BA Hons, which is the level 8, the Masters level 9, and then your doctorate. Okay. So basically, think about, do you want to work in early years? What inspires you to come to work in early years? Do you like children of that age? What do you like about them? Do you kind of just embrace the fact that it is the foundation of all future learning, that this is where it is at? And there's really not enough, I suppose, emphasis put on that. It's coming. It's not quite there yet, but it's coming. And it really is, we're laying the foundations for the whole future learning. So do you want to teach in a Montessori school? Do you want to lead a room? Would you prefer to work in creche? You know, what is it that you would like to do? And we can tailor the course to suit you, because all of these courses will lead you to all of that. You can manage, you can lead, you can do whatever, okay? So I suppose the entry level into early childhood care and education is the QAI award at level 5. And that gives you all the basis for almost like the children. It's like the foundation, it's like the building blocks for all future learning. So you learn about, you know, things like the regulations and, you know, children's development and all of that. And then as each level, you will still be referring to that, and you will still base your knowledge in that. You'll be only getting into more depth as the levels go on. Okay. So basically you will be studying, if you do level 5, you'll be studying by blended learning. And what I like to call blended learning is accessible education, because it is accessible to you 24 hours a day. You have your online material. You can, if you're writing your assignment at 2 in the morning, you can bang off an email to your tutor, and mind you, they won't answer you 2 in the morning, but they will answer you the next day, or within 3 to 5 working days is our standard go-to. So really, Everything you need is on a web-based learning platform. Each module within the course will be there, and there will be a tutorial and course notes and tutor support by email all through your journey. Okay, and then coursework, you'll have reflective little tasks to do on a week-to-week basis to support you to stay on track, because at level 5 we don't expect you to take a big chunk of work and to be able to do it at the end of a time frame. So we'll be breaking it down very nicely for you, and week to week you'll be building your assignments almost. Okay, and of course you will get an opportunity to submit your assignments for feedback prior to final submission date. Okay, so you get all the feedback, and it is all constructive criticism, you know, so, you know, it'll be telling you maybe to put in a little bit more, to support with a little bit more here, to maybe go a little bit more depth. A lot of my questions would be, why do you want to do this in your setting? Why? So maybe just to kind of tease it out in your own head, and it helps you to reflect. And also, when you're doing something through blended learning, it allows you to apply it in practice as well. So it's the best of both worlds. It gives you independence and freedom to study at a time which suits you. So if you want to study when children are gone to bed, or if you want to study while, you know, in the office hours, we'll say, if you're at home to study, then that's perfectly fine as well. So it also alleviates the cost of travel, and the cost of, you know, because if you travel to a venue, you will obviously, you know, want your cup of coffee on the way in, etc. But you're sitting in your own kitchen doing it at your own kitchen table, and you can get up and boil the kettle if you want to. So there's a huge cost impact to that if you take, you know, diesel, transport, train, Lewis, whatever it is, out of that. And there is a support network, a peer-to-peer network as well with your fellow classmates. So for some people, they might think, oh, I can't do blended learning because you know, I'll be on my own. You will not be on your own in any way, shape or form, because you will have your tutor by email at all times. If you get into a little bit of difficulty, or something is going on in your life that just, you know, is and we all get curveballs in life from time to time, then a phone call can be booked with your tutor as well to discuss your way forward and through. And then we have a network now from September, which will allow peer-to-peer communication as well. Little bit akin to Facebook, but not Facebook, if that makes sense. But that's the nearest thing I can think of. And then, so what will you learn about? You'll learn about very basic fundamentals. And as I say, whether you go on to study at level 6, 7, 8, 9, you will be still talking about these fundamental things. Okay? These foundation blocks: child development, early care and education practice, early childhood education and play, because we know that children learn best through play. And then child's health and well-being. So well-being is not just about, you know, their mental health and well-being, but it's also about, you know, their physical development, their learning through play, their positive learning dispositions, etc. So then you'll have work experience too, to apply your theoretical knowledge into practice. And all the assignments are very practice-based as well. So, you know, you'll have a little bit of theory, yes, certainly, but you'll also be making plans and things like that, or doing observations of the children. So it's very practice-based, your assignments. So you'll have work experience to allow you to complete that. You'll have a communications module, and then you've creative arts for early childhood, and equality and diversity, which is very important in today's day and age as well. All modules will be assessed through written assignments, and only one module carries a 2-hour written exam, and that is the child development. But don't panic if exams are not your thing, because you'll be well prepped. And if you attend the sessions, if you read the materials, there's no way that would be any stress to you whatsoever. And you do have to undertake, like we said about the work experience, 50 hours work placement and document it, and that will also help you then to complete your assignments as well. So the one-to-one tutor support I've already mentioned, and that is provided throughout your study. and our tutors aim to support you to succeed and progress in your studies. And I think the most important thing too is that, like I said, if you hit a little stumbling block in life, as we all do, that you don't just go away and hide under a rock, as I sometimes would be. That would be my first go-to, to do that and not tell anybody. But sometimes then just talking it through with your tutor, making a plan of action, seeing what you can do when, and we will help you to find a way forward and to succeed and progress in those studies. So the award and career opportunities at level 5. So on successful completion of a level 5 major award in ECCE, you will be able to embark on a professional career in any early childhood care and education setting. You can work with children from 0 to 6 years. It can be full-time setting, part-time setting. And what we mean by a full-time setting is that it's open kind of from 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening. Now, not that you'd be there from 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening, but, you know, you would be on the shifts. Part-time then is up to 5 hours. So it could be, say, 9 to 2, something like that. Sessional then, and an awful lot of part-time services will run after school services and that as well. So there still is full-time employment in part-time settings, if that makes sense. And then sessional services then are usually the 3-hour sessions, but a lot of settings have either after school in the afternoon, or they have 2 sessional services. So they may have children coming in from 8:30 to 11:30, and again from 12 to 3. Okay. So again, opportunities for full-time employment there. It provides the perfect pathway to progress to further studies. So it leads you very nicely into your QQI award at level 6. Now, I'm just going to flick out of the PowerPoint for 1 second to just see if there is any queries. Okay, I'll continue on. So Early Childhood Care and Education Award at level 6. So what is the difference between doing level 5 and level 6? So a level 5 award allows you to work in the setting. However, you need a level 6 to be able to lead a room, okay, an ECCE room. And when we say an ECCE room, it is with children 2 years and 8 months to 5.5 years. Okay, so if you're with children of that age, if you had a level 5, you would be an assistant in the room. But if you have your level 6, you could actually go for the position of lead. Okay, so there's 2 routes to acquire your ECCE QQI level 6. And one is Early Childhood Care and Education. And the other one is if you're interested in a Montessori philosophy or a Montessori setting or a Montessori education, then you can do ECCE with Montessori Pedagogy. Again, you will do blended learning. As I say, I even prefer it to be called accessible education because it's for everybody. It is suitable for everybody's lifestyle. As I say, whether you're fitting it in around family or whether you are, you know, keeping up a job in a restaurant or a bar or an office or a shop or wherever it is. I don't know why an awful lot of people from retail come to us, as well as I did myself. So if you're working, you can continue your work and study through blended learning. So there's 1 workshop per module, and then it's distance study after that with your materials, with your tutor support, and with your peer support as well. And there's flexible start dates as well. So you can join pretty much any time of the year that you wish, and you slot into that module and then continue on. So the blended ECCE with Montessori Pedagogy will have some Saturday classes to work with the Montessori material. If you cannot attend or are studying internationally, then this course is actually doable completely online because there's tutorial videos and lots of other resources which will allow you to, and also the sessions will be recorded as well. So of course you will still have access to this, to the sessions and to the information as well. But if you can, the hands-on is nice before you go into the setting. And again, you might feel that you already have a level 6, you're working in a Montessori setting all the time, and completely distance would suit you because you have access to materials and that type of thing. Okay, So it's part-time there. Part-time then you can also do it. You can do 32 weeks, 1 evening per week in Portobello Institute over 1 academic year. Now, that is more suitable for people in Dublin or the surrounding counties where travel is easily accessible into the city, because the base would be in the college in Portobello Institute itself. Okay, so for those of you who are in the Dublin area or surrounding counties, you may wish to come in 1 night a week, and the course will be facilitated in that way. Okay, and your tutor is usually available for half an hour before class to answer any not personal queries, but your own personal study queries is what I'm saying. Okay, so at ECCE level 6, you will complete 4 core modules. So whether you're doing ECCE or whether you're doing ECCE with Montessori Pedagogy, you will study these 4 core modules, and they are child development, early childhood curriculum, social, legal and health issues, personal professional development. So child development, again, will be very similar to the one at level 5, just a little bit more in-depth. And there's your written assignment and there's an exam. And in the early childhood curriculum, there is class development, where you will take an area of the classroom and see how you observe it and see how you would like to take it to the next level. And you would also design a plan for a 3-hour session. So there are things that, the observations, the child development, the early child curriculum, they're things that you would be doing every day in a setting when you get out to work in the setting. So it's a very practical course and prepares you for the world of work very nicely. The social, legal and health issues then is around equality and diversity, child protection, policies and procedures, and social policy. And professional development is a lovely one, because it actually gets you reflecting on yourself and your own goals and where you want to see this taking you, and your time management, how to chair a meeting, how to give a presentation. So all of those things coming in there. So it really does help your personal and professional development, and also gives you the skills and the confidence as well to put those into practice. And I always say that the more you study, the more you want to study, because I think when I did my Montessori course years ago, I thought I knew everything. I thought I was the brains. I thought I knew it all. And I'm afraid now, as I complete my master's, I know there's so much more out there, and there's so much more I need to know, and so much more I want to know. So I think once you get the study bug, one level is not enough for you. Then you want to know more. You want to go deeper. You want to know why this child is doing this. Why is this setting like this? How could you make it better? And I think we do an awful lot of whys. Why? And in that way, we make ourselves better, and we make our better practitioners, and we make our classrooms more inclusive, more stimulating, more enjoyable for both children, adults and parents. So I think that's what those modules will give to you. And then the Montessori Pedagogy, if you're studying Montessori teaching, you will complete early learning environment, early childhood literacy and numeracy, arts and culture, and work experience in a Montessori setting. And again, that is set at 50 hours. Now, early learning environments will take you through the philosophy of Maria Montessori. And of course, we know that she was a wonderful woman, way ahead of her time. She was a scientist, not a teacher. And just a little nugget, that she is accredited with the child-sized classroom or the child-sized furniture. And we walk into preschools, we walk into junior and senior infants, and we take for granted that the furniture fits. But actually it was Montessori who devised that. So you look at a little bit of philosophy. You'll also look at the practical life exercises, because of course Montessori believed in children learning practical life skills that would aid them throughout life, pouring, spooning, etc., etc. Sensorial education as well comes in there, because she believed that everything had to be in the senses first before it was in the intelligence. So we must feel it, touch it, understand it before we can really cognitively process it. So then literacy and numeracy speaks for itself. It's language and maths. And the language is, you know, pre-language, the pink, the 3-lettered phonetic words, building on that into blue language, which is longer phonetic words with a blend. So like stamp, amp, so and so on and so forth, and even a little bit of grammar comes in there, and you would be amazed how very young children can absorb this type of material once it is all done at their level and when they're ready, and nurturing their interest. If they're not interested in it, there's no point in doing it with them, because you know, you might have a child will come in and they might be, which I had, you're meant to start off with the practical life exercises, but he went for the sensorial. He did sensorial, he did language, he did math, and in the second year he couldn't get enough practical life. So, you know, we tweak it, as Montessori said, I observed my children and they taught me how to teach them. And that is what I live by. If you observe your children and you do what they need, then you are working Montessori philosophy in your schools. So maths, then everything has to be learned in the concrete and then in the abstract. So you hold it, you feel it, you touch it, you know what 2 things are before you know what the numeral 2 looks like. That's kind of a little nutshell of it. And then the arts and culture is that children at a very child-friendly level can be introduced to the fine arts, to nature, which is zoology and botany, to history, to geography. And history is just getting a sense of time, today, tomorrow, yesterday, okay? And then science, little science experiments and things like that. And then your work experience then will be in a Montessori setting, and you'll be able to put all of your learning into practice and then apply it back into your assignments. That's the other thing, is that you can find a placement for ECC level 5 or level 6, which is local to you. As I say, if you're doing Montessori, it must be a Montessori setting. An early years setting of any kind then is fine for ECCE, but it can be one that's local to you, okay? Alongside the core modules, you will study, so the 4 core modules, the child development, the early childhood curriculum, the personal and professional development, social, legal and health studies. If you're just doing ECCE and you want a more general, you don't want to go down the Montessori route, then you will do communications, you will do child psychology, which is very nice module, indeed, because you look at gender identity, moral development, and that type of thing, as well as some of the theorists for psychology as well. Then you have special needs assisting, so you'll have that module complete as well. And then again, I've talked about the Montessori set in a setting ranging from 0 to 6 years. And the special needs assisting is no load to carry at all, because I even recommend that if you do ECCE with Montessori pedagogy, that at some point you come back and you do a module of special needs assisting. Now, it won't prepare you for everything that you will be oh, I can't think of the word. Sorry, it's gone. So, okay, so children will come to you. You need to meet their needs. And I think it won't prepare you for every need that you will meet, but it will certainly give you a broader outlook on those needs and what assisting those needs is about. So I think that's no load to carry anyway. So even if you're doing the ECCE with Montessori pedagogy, I recommend that you do the additional module for special needs assisting. If you're just doing ECCE, it's all rolled in there, so you're good to go. All modules assessed through written assignment, child development, a 2-hour exam, as we've said, and the 50 hours work placement, which we've gone through. So again, you know, if you're working outside of your study, which 99.9% of people are, it can be done in a block. Or what some people do is they have one day off a week, say it's a Wednesday or a Thursday, whatever it is, and they'll go into the setting one day a week throughout the duration of their course and build it up that way. And other people then, you know, will do it over a 2-week holiday period. So it just depends on what suits you and your lifestyle. As I say, it is accessible education. So what will a level 6 then bring to you in terms of award and career opportunities? Upon successful completion, you will be awarded a QAI Level 6 Major Award. You can embark then on a professional career in early childhood care and education setting. You can work with children 0 to 6 years in a variety of settings. You can work in an after-school setting. You can lead an ECCE room, and you can open and run your own early year service with the Level 6. Okay, so also what a lot of people do is they go in on work experience, and we've had numerous students that this has happened to, that they have they're on a different career path, they want to get out of it or whatever, they go in on their work experience 1 day a week or in their block, and oftentimes they're actually offered a job, and then they complete their training and education then while working in a setting. Okay, so we've an awful lot. I just made a little note there when the opening session was on, that it said 92% graduate employment rate. But I made a note to just say, I would say that's much more in the early years department, because I would say all of our graduates are working if they want to be, whatever level they have graduated from, be it level 5, level 6, level 7, 8 or 9. I do think that the difference between Portobello and anywhere else that you will study is the care for students. I think we care for the students. You matter to us. It's not just that we know you, but you matter to us. And I think that that is a very, very, very important. And when we talk about Natasha on the video there in the first session, she was talking about the transition into early years. We're very much aware of the transition it is for you to come back to study, or to come out of your leaving cert and come in to study with us, etc. So we will be there for you through the transition process into your third level education. Okay, and I suppose just to give you a little outside on how the sector has changed, that certainly when my eldest daughter wanted to study something in education, she's actually a secondary school teacher. And at that point in time, almost 30 years ago, I wouldn't have advised anybody to go into it, even though I was in it, because it wasn't as lucrative as it should be. But having said that, my younger daughter is a Montessori teacher. She's a manager in a setting in the inner city. And certainly by then, if this is what she wanted, I would certainly encourage it all the way, because we are now being recognized as professionals. We are now a professional sector. So if you're starting out your journey, yes, certainly take it on. You will get a professional qualification, one that is will serve you very, very, very well. So yes, I would advise you to take it on. And as I say, she went into it, maybe 8 years ago, and things had completely turned around and completely changed. And certainly for anybody starting out their journey now, it is a very good career to be coming into. Okay, so where do you go from your level 6 is, of course, onto your level 7. So from there, you will have a very good foundation to build and to move into the BA Ord in early childhood studies. So basically now I'm just going to introduce you very briefly to the team. If you're doing level 5 or level 6, this is the team which you may meet along the way. So you will definitely speak to Olivia, because Olivia is the early years and SNA program manager. And I'm not going to read out all her credentials, but she's very highly qualified, and she will be there to offer you practical advice and support, not only to you, but to the tutors as well. Natasha Murphy, as you've seen on the opening video, she has done her BA Hons. She actually started off doing her level 6 and then went out into the setting, and she has continued her study through blended, and she is enjoying it immensely. And she's traveled to India, and she's taught in Spain, etc., etc. So she is a joy on your way if you get to have her as your tutor. Ifra, very highly qualified, play therapist, clinical supervisor with her own private practice. She was a Montessori teacher for years. She's taught at Portobello for as long as I can remember. So Ifra and I go back a long way. Excellent tutor. Excellent, excellent, excellent. You certainly will have a very good foundation with Ifra. Leemin is a teacher in an ASD class and a tutor. Leemin is very pleasant. She has a world of experience and knowledge to share with you. Other tutors you may meet along the way are Pamela Clark, and if you end up in Pamela Clark's class, you will absolutely know what you're talking about, but you'll have a laugh along the way. Dolores, wonderful, teaches junior and senior infants, and absolutely amazing tutor, amazing person, sees the more than the child, if that makes sense, because she sees the whole context of the child, okay, their whole life, everything. She brings all of that to the table, to the child. Wonderful, wonderful tutor. And Claire Bowman, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Claire yet, but I'm sure, having read her credentials, that she is as wonderful as our other tutors. So just to say to you that thank you for listening to me. And if you have any further queries, please do contact Jenny. You can ask her now in the chat bar, or indeed you can give her a shout through email, or the number is there as well. Okay. Sorry, I don't know what I've done now. Great. Okay, so the BA award. Okay. I'm just going to come out of the slideshow for a moment and to see if we have any queries. Jenny, would you like me to go to the queries now, or would you like me to leave them until later?
Sorry, Jacinta, I had myself muted there, apologies. I think it's fine to do it now. If anybody has any questions, we're more than happy to answer. If there's none at the moment, I'm happy to just take them as they come in, and if not, we can wait until the end. Entirely up to the learners if there's anything that we can help with now before we move on.
Okay, you can either turn off your mic and speak, or you can type in the type bar, whatever suits you best. Just when I have the PowerPoint on screen, I can't actually see the chat bar. For some reason, I haven't worked that out yet. So
nobody seems to be typing any questions for the moment.
Okay.
Perhaps I would suggest that we move on then.
Okay.
To the level 7. Is that all right?
Okay, we'll go on to the level 7.
Thank
and Margarita will join us on this one. So Margarita, I'll run down through it and feel free to jump in and out there as you wish. As I say, my mentor and a world of knowledge there. Okay. Sorry now. Okay, so the criteria for entry onto the BA award in early childhood studies is a level 6 QAI award or equivalent. So you must have a base to come in to the BA award. So you must have a level 6 award to come in, or equivalent. Okay, if you don't know, you have something you're not sure if it's equivalent, you can contact Jenny about that one as well, and she will check it out for you. Okay, so it's the study is blended. It's 14 to 15 months of continuous study. Now, continuous study doesn't mean you're at it like 24 hours a day or anything, but it does mean that there's no summer break. You know what I mean? So it won't be like, you know, from October to September. If you start in October, you'll be going right through for 14 to 15 months. Okay? So the awarding body for the degree is London Metropolitan University, and they are completely accredited with the national framework as listed by the DCEDIY, so which is formerly the DCYA for the higher capitation. And I suppose the difference, the main difference between having your level 6 and level 7 is your wealth of knowledge. And for that wealth of knowledge, you are awarded a higher capitation. And what that means is that if you have a level 6 and you are leading a room, your service, or if it's your own service, whatever, will be granted 68.50 per child per week, okay, for 38 weeks of the year. However, if you have a level 7, sorry, that's what you get for level 6. If you have a level 7, you are now up at 80.50. Okay, so that's a huge jump. That's €11 odd, you know. So the government are actually recognizing now the wealth of knowledge that people have if they have a BA Ord. Okay, so I think that's a really, it's a move forward in, I suppose, our professional identity, as well as you know, financially as well, but definitely in our professional identity. And as I say, it's nice to be recognized for the depth of knowledge that you will have at the end of your level 7. So the program is delivered through blended learning, which is ideal for those who wish to work full time. And I think we've gone through that. Again, accessible education, and you will be supplied with notes and reading material. You'll have online webinars. You'll have email support from your tutor. You'll be able to submit a draft for 800 to 1,000 words for formative feedback for every assignment. And then you can go away, you can change, amend, adjust, and then you can finally submit it. Okay, so you'll be able to apply what you're learning in your everyday practice, because most of our level 7 students would be working in the setting. You don't have to be. We would also have people who would be working as an SNA in primary school. We would have people who are working in special school, etc., etc. So different career paths. We also have people who are not in the setting, but you do need work experience if you're not in the setting. You don't have to leave your own home, no travel costs involved. And for me, when I went back to study, that was a big thing for me, because, you know, when you have a family and budgets are tight, I think no travel costs, not having to be going out in the frost, and which we can't imagine today, but come January, there will be frosty nights and all the rest of it, and to be traveling 2 nights a week maybe, and on a Saturday, it's just not doable. So the only thing you really need is internet connection, and I think everybody has it at this point in time, whether it be it on your phone or on your laptop or whatever, but you do need internet connection, because that's how you will assess or access the notes and the reading material. So you will be able to study at a time that suits you, and so it will give you flexibility in your study. So what will you study at level 7? What is the difference? And you'll see the nice Sinead Lawson actually wrote that. That's why I decided to go to Portobello, because it did feel very much like somebody was there holding your hand all the time, which was really nice. And that's what I'm saying about the tutors getting to know the students, and the tutor knowing your name. And I think that's we're about care of the student. So I'm not going to go into these too much. So just challenging inequalities in early childhood, and that kind of builds on your social, legal and health, and your equality and diversity in that, and also practice-based reflection involved there. Children's rights in today's world, and we know that, you know, in some parts of the world, children have rights and they're enacted, and in other parts of the world, you know, they're not. Exploring that and kind of really looking a little bit deeper into it, and having a little look and seeing how we as a practitioner can be an advocate for young children and their families. Communicating in multilingual contexts. Ireland is now a very diverse society, so the likelihood you will have children in your setting who will have more than one language. I always admire these children so much, and they have taught me a little bit of their languages as well. So you know, and they slip in and slip out of their other language, and English just, you know, I just admire it. I mean, their cognitive skills are just amazing. But I suppose, what does that look like in a setting, and how can we support their development of English? But while we're doing that, how can we support the development of their home language, and how this impacts on their identity and culture, if we do or if we don't, positively or negatively, as it were. And that's, again, very practice-based, seeing what you can do in your setting to enhance and support children who are learning English as a second language, or indeed have speech delay, things like that. Okay. Early years learning and practice frameworks. This is very practice-based, even though it says it's an understanding of relevant policy frameworks and regulations. It's really applying that into your planning, into your setting, and reflecting upon it then. So examining, planning, and evaluating your practice. Approaches to pedagogy and curriculum, and theories that support curriculum and pedagogy, and how they have evolved over the years, and how, you know, teaching is no longer how it was when I was in school. It's a more enjoyable process, etc., etc. So you will also reflect on the practitioner's role there, and, you know, because you are the one that supplies the, you know, whatever frameworks say or whatever documents say, it is actually you as a practitioner who are providing that suitable, broad, balanced, child-centered curriculum, indoors, outdoors, and beyond the setting. Nobody else can do it. You can read all the papers you want, but you're the one who actually applies it to the setting and makes for inclusive and stimulating environment, which is conducive with learning.
And I think, Jacinta, there, the interesting thing is that we look at all the international perspectives and approaches to pedagogy as well.
Absolutely.
You know? So
Yeah.
it really ties in nicely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you really get a well-rounded, and it also begins, because I suppose I'm going to speak from my own personal experience, Margarita, now. You know, when I first did this module, I suppose I was very zoned into Montessori. You know, Montessori was the way to go. And all of a sudden I realized that I could merge, we'll say, some of Reggio, some of Steiner, you know, some of the different, you know, some of Te Feriki, some of the different curricula into Montessori, because if it worked with my children, I was still working my Montessori. You know, I observed my children and they taught me how to teach them. But now I had tools far beyond to provide that to the children. Would you agree, Margarita?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. And I think we have a lot of people like that. They come in with sort of a one focus, a one tunnel view of whatever it is that they do. And then when they dip into the different international ones, you can actually see a lot of crossover, and they complement each other very well. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Inquiry-based learning. So here, you know, inquiry-based learning. So as you, as a learner, as an adult, you have to be an inquiry-based learner. You know, you have to want to know, why is that? Where is that? It helps you to think critically. But also we want to inspire inquiry-based learning and exploring and thinking and problem-based learning in the children as well. So I think this module helps you to do that. So you're not only doing it from the perspective of being a practitioner, you're doing it from yourself as a learner and as a practitioner, which is very interesting indeed, I find, because I do think the more you learn, the more you want to know why. So I think that it really does start you to think like that a little bit more. Leading practice with children, families, and professionals. Of course, if you are studying at this level, the likelihood is that you have, well, you will have your level 6, but the likelihood then is that you're using it to lead a setting. Excuse me. And so you have to know how to lead that, how to lead the practice, how to lead a quality provision, how to inspire and motivate your team, how to enhance the well-being of young children, how to partner with young children, with their families, and with other relevant stakeholders around, and then know kind of what is out there in legislation and research and all of that kind of thing, which supports you, to provide you with the knowledge to lead that type of practice. The reading research then, Margarita, I think now you're the woman for this one. She's the guru of this.
The reading research module. Oh yes. This one's absolutely brilliant. This is where you learn all about doing a piece of research, and you're basically, what you're doing is you're writing a proposal for your project if you move on to level 8. And it's where you're introduced to all that terminology to do with researching, see qualitative, quantitative, mixed methods and so on. And which one would suit you best and what questions would be suitable, what we can do ethically, what we can go out and actually do in a setting. Because obviously when you're doing a piece of research, while you want to bring something new to the table, and while you want your research to be informative, you don't want to step on anybody's toes while you're doing that. So you have to be very careful that you do all those things. So that's what we basically look at in that module. Most people find it a little bit of a challenge, maybe because it's the first big dip into research, but because they pick their own topic and because you can go down an avenue that you're particularly interested in, they really do enjoy it when they get stuck into it. So yeah, find that one very interesting indeed. And then the debates, debating children and childhood, bit of sociology really going on in there, bit of social science and that type of thing, looking at children in different contexts, and investigating what childhood actually means to us, and how childhood is developed and has changed throughout time and in different eras. So another interesting module there. Which sort of, I suppose, makes us look outside of what we have experienced, what we know and what we see on a daily basis, and consider children in different countries, different cultures, and in different contexts, and the impact that those contexts have on their ability to develop and so on. Okay, so another interesting module there. And then for assessment, Jacinta, I'll let you away again.
Are you sure? Because
No,
I mean,
have fun.
she's going to draw her breath now before she comes to you for the level 8. A variety of assessment methods will be used. So we'll say, everybody has a different learning style. So you'll kind of explore that throughout these, okay? So there is something for everybody here, okay? So you'll have reflective essays, you'll have podcasts, you'll have blogs, you'll have reports, and don't panic. Your tutor will walk you through what is required in each, because I always think of my mother. She was going to do a computer program, and this just made the penny drop for me that this is probably how our students feel, because she was like, can you show me how to do it first? Can you show me how to turn on the computer? Can you show me how to do this before I go to the session? And I'm like, you don't need to know how to turn it on. He's going to show you how to turn it on. This is what the class is about. This is why you've enrolled with this guy, is to teach you these things. But I think there's always a kind of a nervousness and a trepidation when you're going to start into this. So what I really want to say is, do not panic. You will be told what is required, what is the criteria, what the brief is you have to meet, what the learning outcomes are, how to write, how to do it, linking words, etc. You will be given all of the tools to do these assignments, and what you do with those tools then is up to yourself. So some people will really take them on board, and like that, with each of these, like in the previous courses, you will have an opportunity to provide your tutor with a draft of every single assignment before it goes for final submission. Now there will be dates where it'll be a draft date and you'll have to upload your piece of work, but it's good because it keeps you on schedule as well. Should anything life throw a spanner in your works, as the fella says, there is a thing called mitigating circumstances, but at this level it does have to be mitigating circumstances. So what I would say to you is, have a look at what that criteria is. So one-to-one tutor support again on webinars, drafts, emails, and phone calls can be arranged at the convenience of the student and the tutor. And again, your tutor knows your name, and we're there. We care for the student. Peer interaction. So studying through blended learning is often said to be isolating, but at Portobello Institute, there is a student forum, which is a great base for getting to know each other, asking questions, etc. Now, it is a monitored forum, so if you're all sending each other way off the wrong path, somebody will jump in and say, look, you're all going down this path, but actually this is the way you should be going. Okay, so there's also interaction at the webinars, and I love when the students get involved in the webinars. So I always tell my students to ensure your mic is working on your device, and you know, it saves typing in, and then you can just come in and we can have a chat, and you know, we can break into little groups and things like that. But if your mic is not working, then you you know, you can't take part in that. And while again there might be a little bit of fear around the first time, once you do it, everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's getting to know each other. Everybody's starting to learn at this level. So, you know, jump in there and ask the questions. And if you ask a question, I guarantee you there's at least 10 other students wanted to know the answer to that question. And they're so glad that you were brave. So what is the career opportunities? So you'll be more employable because we've talked about the higher capitation. So if you look at, you know, the like of Early Childhood Ireland Jobs Forum, if you look at jobspost.ie, if you look at Indeed or any of the jobs forums, you will see it will usually say preferably level 7 or level 8, but that should never stop you applying if you have a level 6, because, you know, they may not, they're really just looking for the higher capitation. So, and the wealth of knowledge that you will have at level 7. But if they can't get somebody at level 7, then they will pull out the level 6 CVs. So as I say, but you are more employable. Okay. And further study, of course, on the completion of your level 7, you'll now want to know more. So you'll be into your level 8. And following this, then onto the master's program. And payment can be made in full, but there's also an easy payment plan, because if you're like myself, this is the way I would need to go, because there's always financial implications for a household if somebody is deciding to study. So the easy payment plan makes it much more manageable. And for those details, you can contact Jenny, or any other enrollment queries, or to enroll, in fact, you can contact Jenny. So you've met some of the team already, and you've talked to my colleague Margarita, and you will also talk to Irina Fox, who's the program manager of the BA Award, the degree and the honours degree. Margarita is the program manager for the masters and the postgrad, and then you will meet Denise Baker, who is a wealth of knowledge around equality, and Maeve Nolan, Rachel Dunn, play therapy, Colette Saunders, I think, is leadership quality, and myself, Jacinta Murphy. Okay, so you'll meet us all along the way. And I hope anyway, that while tonight is quite just giving information, that when you come onto the course, you know, it is very interactive. And although you learn a lot at the end of a webinar, you know, we also have a bit of laugh and a bit of crack and, you know, whatever as well, because that's all part of it, building up that team, and people bring in stories from their settings. So sometimes I learn as much on the webinar as the students learn, because you're hearing what's going on in their settings, and, you know, maybe there's problems out there that you didn't realize that was out there, etc., etc. So, you know, we learn together. It's a mutually agreeable space, is what I would say is the webinars are. Would you agree, Margarita, that, you know, we're there in it together?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And I mean, you know, often we'll have people who join courses who'll say, oh, I think I'm a little bit old for going back to studying and so on. You know, you're never too old or too young. The older person, I always think, brings a lot of experience with them, you know, and the younger person might have the book knowledge, but the older person has the hands-on experience. And in those webinars, when they share that experience, the learning that takes place is amazing, you know, so definitely it's a lovely space.
Yeah, it is. I really do. And like you say, you can have school leavers, you know, talking to owners of settings, and you know, that always often leads to other things as well. So I think that's, yeah, it's wonderful, supportive space. So that's me done. So thank you very much for listening. I always say thank you for your time and your attention. And we look forward to working with you as you progress in your studies. And as I say, you will gain a professional qualification, but not only that, you will grow as a person as well. And with each piece of study I have done, I know that I have grown as a person, and I will be a completely different person than I was when I stepped into the early years arena 22 years ago. So on that note, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacinta. The next level that you would be moving on to, folks, would be the level 8. So would we be your BA Honours in Early Childhood Studies. And you can see here that there are sort of two options for people who want to enroll on this degree. If you've completed your level 7 with ourselves, you can go straight in to do, you can apply to go straight in to do your BA honours. If you're coming to us from another university, another college, and you may have done your level 7 there are some, you can see a list of them there. There are a few compulsory modules that have to be completed before, along with, now you don't have to do them and then do the level 8. You can sign up for the level 8 and then do them as you're going along. It's a little bit of extra work, I suppose, but the modules themselves, there's a lot of support with. And again, you have your own individual supervisor for your project. So, you know, it is very manageable. It's something that quite a few people do. They step into that zone from somewhere else just to finish off with the level 8. Okay. The modules that we look at there are the leading practice one, which Jacinta talked about earlier on, debates and children and childhood, which I explained to you, the research one, which obviously if you're going to do a level 8 and a project, you would want to know something about, and then the early children's childhood studies project itself. So you know, you've got, what is it, three other ones to do along with your own study. What some people do when they engage with the modules is they think it leads them to a topic, you know, because once you delve into that material and you start reading, it's sometimes useful to maybe think of a research project that sort of takes you down that same reading route. And it not only does it sort of save you time going looking for more materials, but you're already sort of halfway there when you've engaged with the assignment, the content, and so on. And it maybe would trigger an interest in you when you're engaging with those. So either of those routes really is available for the level 8. The duration of the study for the BA honours is at the moment, I think, eight months. Isn't that right, Jenny? Yeah. So 8 months. And
It is, Margarita. You're exactly right there.
it can start in October, or you can start in February. So either of those options are available, but the October run at the moment. So if you were starting in October, you would start with completing ethics, obviously an ethics form. You'd put in a little proposal form. We would sift through that proposal form, and depending on the topic that you had decided on, we would try and find one of our tutors that had research in that area, who could best support you and take you through that whole process, the whole process of the building the chapters that make your 10,000 word final product. And when I say 10,000 words, I can feel 3 or 4 of you keeling over there, just as I said that very fast. But you want to take a deep breath there, because it's not too bad. When you think about it in reality, you know, you've got this 8-month period and you have a one-to-one supervisor. And your chapters, they're broken down into small little sections. So you have your literature review, 2,500 words maybe. You have your methodology section, something similar, okay? And then when you go out and start gathering your own data, one of the things I always think about the project is that because it's your own information, you really understand it, because you've gone out there, you've collected it. It's you that has asked the question. It's your question that you're going out there to answer. You generally are well informed about it before you go, depending on how much reading you've done. We usually know the participants, so it's a much more comfortable space than if you were out doing perhaps a big piece of research where you'd never met the people before. So sometimes people are a little bit put off when they think they have to go out and ask questions, do interviews and that type of thing. So it's not nearly as scary as you would think when it's all sort of broken down into the small little sections, okay? When you complete your level 8, then obviously you'll get a draft. You can send in drafts for your literature review. You can send in drafts of your methodology. You can send in drafts for your final analysis chapter, and then also your supervisor would take a draft off you of the whole piece. So it's between 8 and 10,000 words. So that whole piece, when it's pulled together, and they will help you structure that. They'll help you put in any of the little cover sheets and things, any of the acknowledgements, those type of things. They'll help you with the referencing. They'll help you with any appendices and things that have to go in there. So all of that will be given. There are templates for all of those things, so you haven't to go and design in any of those yourself. And once you have uploaded those drafts and had feedback on them, you pull the whole thing together. Again, you'll have a submission date. And I suppose the dates are the one thing that you sort of keep an eye on. The final submission date is extremely important, because obviously, again, if you miss it, you would need to have mitigating circumstances. And as Jacinta touched on earlier, mitigating circumstances are exactly that. They have to be something untoward, something unexpected that has happened. It can't just be that the dog ate the computer, or the computer crashed on you the night before, or whatever. It has to be something very unexpected. Okay, and there are paperwork and everything in place for that as well. Now, I have to say that, you know, we do tend to be quite generous with those mitigating circumstances, and when forms come in, we do give them good consideration, but it isn't to be used as an excuse, I suppose, not to meet a deadline. And then in terms of draft dates, those are a little bit more flexible with this. Not necessarily with other assignments, but definitely with the research one. Yourself and your supervisor, while there are guidelines there for you, you can work with your supervisor to maybe push that out by a week or 2 weeks, or if you're working with me, it could be 3 weeks, depending on what I'm doing. But it gives a little bit more flexibility in and around that with people. Okay, so and there's plenty of time for that. You know, it isn't rushed in the slightest. And then when you have submitted and passed your level 7, obviously then, or your level 8, sorry, your progression routes then would be to come on to the masters. Again, your employability with the level 8 is much stronger in terms of working maybe in consultancy and government agencies. Some people go on to work in the inspectorate. They work in consultancy, those type of things. Up until recently, up until Christmas, I think they're changing it. But Christmas of this year, up until recently, you could register with the Teaching Council with your level 8, but that's being removed now this year. So there's going to be a greater requirement if you are going to want to lecture or do something like that. And that's one of the reasons why the master's progression is something that's useful to think about, because again, that would give you the level of education you would need to move on to do, say, lecturing and things like that if you wanted to. Okay. The masters then in early education. I suppose the things to think about here are that we have in our masters, we have a breakdown of 3 exit points. And the program itself, while you would sign up to the masters, what we have built in are, again, because life throws curveballs at you, and we never know what's going to be at the end of a year when we start into it. So what we've done is we've built in possible exit points for people who happen to have maybe decide that they can't complete a whole master's at this moment in time after they've done so many modules, or that they maybe have had a family crisis or something and need to make a change. So you'll see there that we have a postgrad certificate in early childhood studies, which is the first 2 modules. It consists of just the first 2 modules, and you would complete those over the first year. The postgrad diploma then would be the 4 modules, when 4 modules were completed. And then in order to achieve the master's itself, you would undertake a piece of research as well, which would be the final module. Okay. So that's sort of the way those exit points work. Now, we have had a few people who have talked to us about, you know, maybe just coming in and doing the postgrad certificate. But I have to say, thank God, anybody who started last year doing that in October, they got so into the course and so interested in the content that they actually have come back to do the next year as well, and they're continuing on to finish it. It's a bit like, you know, when you bite the bullet, you might as well keep going when you've done that much. And as Jacinta said, you get this study bug, so why not keep going? You know, the entry requirements, we ask for a BA honours in early childhood studies or a relevant subject area. Now that would, if you haven't got the honours degree in childhood, you could still apply and send in your certs, and we would assess what you had and whether it was acceptable or whether it was eligible or not. Your classification is a 2-2 or above. Now, in some instances, we have given entry to some people who have slightly less of a classification because they have excessive experience in the area. So if you were a person who perhaps got a 2-3, but you had up on 5 or 6 or 10 years experience working, obviously that experience is very beneficial to you, and you would then be allowed to come on to the masters as well, based on the experience that you have to complement the degree that you had completed. Okay. So again, if you have those qualifications and you're interested, if you're unsure, we can check for you. Usually they would go through Jenny, and then she will bounce them on to me, and I would have a look and see what was or was not eligible. And sometimes we can advise about something else that you could do that would perhaps allow you then to have entry. Okay, so we'll always ask the question. Don't sort of just assume when you look and see 2-2 that you're not eligible. The Masters is run over 2 years. The year 1, you're doing 2 modules. So in each of the semesters, you will have a module to complete. So it's a nice, I was going to say a nice easy pace, but I'll not say that. It's a much slower pace than you would have maybe experienced if you're doing a level 7, where you're doing numerous modules at the same time. So in this instance, you're looking at the first module that you would look at would be contemporary issues. The contemporary issues is not unlike your debates module at level 7, if anybody had sort of gone down that route, but it looks at the whole idea of, again, a bit of social science. It looks at children in different contexts. It looks at current contemporary issues that show children or situate children and childhood in particular places. So some of the things that we look at would be, say, contemporary issues where we look at, say, digital childhoods, and that ongoing debate that has been going on now for such a long time about whether children should or should not have access to IT or digital technologies when they're younger. How much screen time should children have? We look at things like school readiness, and when should a child be taught the 3 R's, shall we say, or should they learn through play and play alone? We also look at things like risk and risk in the outdoors. We look at what is risky play. We look at how children develop and grow in those different contexts, and how we consider certain things to be dangerous, unsuitable. We maybe are overprotective of our children, and yet when you look at other cultures, children are allowed to do things at earlier ages that we ourselves would frown upon. So those type of things, and you engage with those. That's a debate module, really. There's a little bit of an opportunity there for a bit of argument, and you can practice your critical skills in there and see how well you can argue off the topic that you decide to engage with. The distinctive approaches module then again is looking at some of the international approaches to early education, and looking at them in a slightly more detailed way, looking at the underpinning philosophies that sort of have, I suppose, put them in place the way they are today, and looking at some of the more historical pioneers in education who have influenced us and placed us where we are today. So again, an interesting module there, and you would do that then from February until until the end of May. The contemporary issues one would run from October until January. I was going to say February. You actually get a little break sort of towards the January. You submit in January, and then you get a little break to the beginning of February, and then you would start your second module, distinctive approaches, from February until May, and then you would have the summer off. Okay. Now I've written there, and I have a little highlighted the summer break, and I suppose it is a break. You're not essentially expected to study. But what I like to do with people, because in the year 2, you also have a dissertation running alongside your 2 modules. What I like to do is encourage people to think about their research project at that stage. think about the ethics that are involved in it. And I suppose it sort of gets you ahead of the game when you're coming back into year 2, because you've had an opportunity there where you can engage with reading, you can think up what is your question. It could be something that you've dipped into in those other 2 modules. It could be something that you've come to your master's already intending to research. It could be something that you've been interested in quite a while. So that space in the summer, I suppose, while it's not a requirement, it is advised that you would dip into those things and think about that topic if you could at all. Okay. It's a much more relaxed time, but I mean, you can still touch base with me or other tutors if you wanted to, if you had a question, but it wouldn't be a requirement. In year 2, then you would be covering your equality and inclusion in early childhood. A nice little module that sort of looks at the whole idea of what is inclusion and what is an inclusive environment. And again, taking that to a much more critical level than you would have done in your honours degree, and looking at the different theories that we can use to critique different situations, okay, and teasing that out a little bit. So quite an interesting module there as well. Foundations of Being then is the second module that you would do that year. And Foundations of Being has a little bit of psychology going on in there. So for anybody who's like myself, very interested in psychology, looking at that idea of where children, how they develop, how their minds tick, what makes their mind tick, why they do certain things, what behaviors there are, and looking at all of those aspects of things. So again, nice little module there. Then the research methods and dissertation module, which runs alongside that in year 2, and you're assigned your own supervisor for that module, and they would work with you on an individual basis, pulling together your dissertation, which would be submitted at the end of that year. So it would run from October right through until May, okay, and continual support the whole time. When you're deciding on your research topic, again, there would be an ethics procedure to go through. So that's something else that you'd sort of get guidance with, and there'd be your supervisor would work with you to put all that information in. So nothing much to panic about, really. You'd have deadlines. We take drafts. The assignments themselves are of different lengths. Most of them have, the 4 modules have between, I think 4, I'm going to be generous, I'm going to say 4,500 words for one assignment, and up to 6,000 words. You have a leeway there of 7,000 words if you wanted sort of 10%. Your contemporary issues, you have a smaller assignment because you also have like a little bit of a discussion board thing going on, very informal, bantering back and forward with the tutor. They throw up a topic, you answer, that type of thing. Your Foundations of Being has a presentation, so the assignment would be shorter. So in some of them, you have a shorter assignment and something else to do. And in others, you just have the essay itself. Okay.
Margarita, sorry, can I interrupt you there? We only have
can.
4 minutes left on the session. And Pamela Larkin asked, do we need work experience for the masters?
For the masters, you don't, it's advisable that you can access a setting, but you wouldn't be required to do work experience as such. And the reason that you would have to access is that for some of them, you would be reflecting back on something that happened or be asked to sort of engage with something in a setting. So in that instance, yes, if you had access, but you wouldn't be required to cover a certain amount of hours as such.
Thank you,
Okay.
Margarita. That's perfect. Pamela, I hope that's okay.
Why complete a postgrad qualification? Obviously, you're going to gain more knowledge, thinking more critically than you would at maybe a degree level. Your job opportunities are far wider, and again, here you can see a list of all the different things you can do for people who want to get into publication, disseminating results, going to conferences and things like that. All of those things are made available to you while you're doing the masters, and we actually encourage our students to attend conferences, to try and write papers. We would publish with you if it was something that you wanted to do. And I'll just skip on down there. You have your own our different tutors that we have available, and you can see there that the possible supervisors and the areas that we have available to support people. So we have partnership and parents, we have child protection, we've got outdoor play, risky play, we have STEAM education, IT and education, psychology, cognition, therapeutic play, lots and lots of stuff there. So great variety of possible research areas. Again, fees and payments, Jenny's the woman to talk to. And we do have that flexible payment plan there that you can engage with. Okay. Any other questions there, Jenny?
No other questions came up. I guess the important thing is to know that every year will give you a qualification in its own right. I find that learners just love that about Portobello Institute. They're not tied into the level 5 all the way up to the 9. And as you said, there's exit points. So if anybody needs anything in the way of information, or if they think of anything that's niggling away this evening, they can certainly just send me an email, jennifer.matteazzi@portobelloinstitute.com, or they can call me on 01 892 0031 anytime from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Other than that, thank you so much, ladies. That was fantastic.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks, Jenny.